Imagine your entire world being flipped upside down. That's exactly what happened to therapist Lynne Spencer from Grand Rapids, Michigan. She found out she was a product of donor insemination.
It's just been a journey.
Spencer from Grand Rapids, Michigan felt like she was the black sheep in her family, but knew she was special to her parents.
Growing up, I knew that my parents had had fertility issues. They got married later in life and wanted children very badly. My dad had a cousin in Detroit who told them about a fertility doctor there. So they would drive from Grand Rapids to Detroit to get fertility treatments. 1993, my dad passed away. He had had cancer. So we had some time with him as he was declining. And my sister and I knew that he had secrets.
That secret after her father passed away was revealed by her mom.
We just went for a walk and she got very serious and said, "There's something I have to tell you." And I could tell it was really hard for her to tell me because she paused and it took her a while to actually get the words out. And the way she put it was, your father is not your real father. And she went on to explain that when they went to the fertility doctor, who was Sylvester Trithall in Detroit, he had told them that they mixed donor sperm with our dad's sperm.
She carried on by saying,
"And I don't want you to tell anybody else about this." I had no idea about the donor conception that they had used a sperm donor.
Spencer says she was faced with depression, confusion, and anger and had to seek therapy to get through it. But she needed to know if her dad was her biological father.
We went through a whole process of figuring out a lab and contacting the hospital that he had been in. And they had a tissue sample of his that they sent to the lab, no questions asked. And my mom and sister and I gave blood samples.
Those results proved he wasn't their biological father. They pursued a DNA test from 23andMe. Her persistence to figure out who the donor was led her on a tough journey. A clue her mom gave, the donor could have been a medical student.
Figuring that the procedure was done in Detroit, that it probably was a Wayne State medical student. So I actually went to the Wayne State Medical School, and they didn't have yearbooks back then, but they had pictures on the wall of the classes of students. And I actually took pictures of those pictures and, looked for people that looked like my sister and I wrote letters to some of them, went through this whole process.
She was left concerned, confused, and uncertain for 20 years with who her siblings were. One day, her first half-brother popped up on her online profile from 23andMe.
Half siblings just started coming in. And I now I'm part of a group of 67 half siblings from the DNA tests, and including the donor's 4 sons.
The results allowed Spencer to figure out the donor was Hank Heemsoth, and he was no medical student, but Dr. Trithall's handyman. For Spencer, this was a sense of relief to get answers.
Some people already knew they had a donor and are super excited to find siblings. And then there's also the people that, this is how they're finding out that their dad's not their biological dad. And it's really traumatic for them. And so those of us who've already dealt with this for a while, we have to support them.
Spencer says she felt bad for her parents.
My parents were lied to about the education of the donor because my parents were told that he was a medical student and he actually had a ninth grade education and GED. The fact that the doctors lied about it, that's not right.
Lynne Spencer told me that she went back to school to get her master's as an encouragement from the entire experience to help others like herself. Samana Sheikh, TV reporting.